As the drought continues in California, lawmakers in the state are thinking of different restrictions and even rationing water to save as much water as possible. Well, wealthy people in wealthy areas of California believe that they're entitled to more water than anyone else because they can pay for it. One of those individuals is Steve Yuhas. He is a conservative talk show host who gave the Washington Post some of the most unbelievable quotes I have read in print journalism. Let me give you an example. He said the following: "People should not be forced to live on property with brown lawns, golf on brown courses, or apologize for wanting their gardens to be beautiful. We pay significant property taxes based on where we live. And no, we're not all equal when it comes to water." I mean, the entire quote is unbearable, but that last part is what drives me crazy. Water is supposed to be a public resource. It's not supposed to be something that is reserved for the wealthy while the poor, don't get anything, right? Or they get fined excessively as a result of it. But one thing that I also want to point out, you live in California, homeboy, which means you pay about 1% of the value of your home. So no, you don't pay significant property taxes compared to other people living in other states. You actually pay very low property taxes. So get your head out of your ass and check your facts, conservative talk show host.
Yeah, that's part of what destroyed the California education system is that the conservatives gutted the property tax in California. And it's arguable, it's not clear in this case, whether climate change has at least contributed to the drought in California. So, yeah, you're right that we're not all equal in what has led to the creation of the drought. But I'd look in the mirror if you're looking for who's at fault there. But the idea that the rich people are more entitled to water than poor people, I mean, that really gets at the core of entitlement. It really does. It's
so sick. And look, anytime we talk about so-called entitlement benefits in the U.S., right, conservatives will be the first to come out and say, "Oh, these poor people, they feel so entitled." But these are individuals who paid into a system and they're expecting to get those benefits back. They paid into a system to get those benefits back. True entitlement is this bullshit that he's spouting right now, and it drives me absolutely insane. And the thing is, water is something that is necessary to live, right? So if we're having a conversation about water to drink in order to survive, that's one thing. But this guy's talking about watering his lawn and making sure that he can still play golf.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about unequal, Rancho Santa Fe uses 5 times more water per capita than the statewide average. They use 5 times the amount of water that everybody else in California uses. Why? Because of all the golf and country clubs that they have. Okay.
It's amazing.
So, and then he goes and says, "How dare you try to take away from the water in our country clubs at all, even though we're overusing the water 5 times more than anywhere else or the average of California." And then when Governor Jerry Brown called for a 25% reduction in water use, he's like, "We all got to chip in, make sure we have enough water in California." In Rancho Santa Fe, their water use went up by 9%.
So there's some indication that they did that on purpose, that they started using more water because California is planning on rationing water in certain areas. Rancho Santa Fe is one of those areas. And so they want to up their limit by artificially inflating the amount of water that they use. It's sick. This entire story is sick. So there are going to be new rules, okay? And according to the Washington Post, under the new rules, each household will be assigned an essential allotment for basic indoor needs. Any additional usage, including sprinklers, fountains, swimming pools, must be slashed by nearly half for the district to meet state-mandated targets. Now, residents who exceed the amount of water that they use could see their already sky-high water bills triple, and for ultra-wealthy customers undeterred by financial penalties, the district actually reserves the right to install flow restrictors that'll basically limit the flow of water to things like, sprinklers and things like that.
Well, at the very least, if they are giving you a financial disincentive and you're comfortable with that disincentive and you say, "Look, I have more money, so I'm going to pay 3 times as much because I got to have my lawn watered." Okay, well then that's the bullet you got to bite because we got an issue with water. We got to preserve it. So he shouldn't complain about that at all. If your money buys you anything, it buys you the ability to pay more in an emergency like this to be able to take more of the water. But we might even reach the limit of that because we might start to run out of essential water for the state for all of us to to live, survive, to the bare
bathe,
minimum, bathe,
yes.
etc., right?
We're having a conversation about lawns right now and golf courses. People might not have water to consume, water to bathe in. We're having a conversation about this. It's unbelievable.
He wants to reserve the right to pay the same amount, but use 5 times as much water, because the wealthy deserve more water.
They're more important than us, right?
They're more equal than we are.
It's ridiculous. All right, let me give you some more unbearable comments from these people. This is from Gay Butler, okay? He is an interior designer who's also upset at some of these restrictions that are being proposed. He says, it angers me.
He's a Republican?
Yeah, I know. It angers me because people aren't looking at the overall picture. What are we supposed to do? Just have dirt around our house on 4 acres? I
do declare. I mean, what are we to do with our 4 acres of property? Are we supposed to have dirt around it?
That's not a made-up comment or statement. He gave that statement to the Washington Post. There's more.
And his name's not made up either. He's an interior designer named Gay Butler.
Okay. There's more. This individual, Brett Barber, says, I call it war on suburbia. That's exactly what's happening, war on suburbia.
It's not like we made up the water crisis. Jerry Brown's like, I will launch a war in suburbia and grass. Okay, I will pretend there's no water. No, but we have a drought. We're not lying, right? But these people are adverse to facts and science anyway. So
Yes.
how do you talk to them in a language they can understand?
Let's hear a little more from Brett. He says, California used to be the land of opportunity and freedom. It's slowly becoming the land of one group telling everyone else how they think everybody should live their lives. And then Steve Yuhas, the first person that we referenced, says, I'm a conservative, so this is strange, but I defend Barbara Streisand's right to have a green lawn. When we bought, we didn't plan on getting a place that looks like we're living in an African savanna. I just
can't.
I can't.
It's since they are used to telling people how to live, right? This is what you do with your body, right? Mm-hmm. This is the Bible you have to listen to. These are my rules, and I'm going to impose them upon you, right? This is my social order, my moral order. It doesn't matter if we agree upon it, I'm going to impose it on you. They project that onto us. Mm-hmm. They think that we have a desire to control them, and that we're inventing this drought to be able to control how they live their lives because we hate their grass.
Yep.
No, I like Barbara Streisand's grass. I'm sure that I'd like your golf course, right? But we have a drought. It is real. We need water, okay? And these guys are used to having everything their way so much that they find the idea that they would be equal to others in anything unbearable. And then they'll turn around and say, I'm from America, because everybody here is equal.
It's ridiculous. It's just the sense of entitlement. And more than the sense of entitlement, it's just this complete mistreatment of people who aren't in the same socioeconomic level as them, right? If you're not as rich as they are, then you're not a person. You're not worth it. You're not worth the water necessary to survive. It's just such a sick way of thinking about things. They lack empathy. They lack any type of humane treatment of their fellow peers, you know? Because they don't see them as fellow peers. They just see money signs and people who are in their level of wealth and people who aren't. That's it.